Ladies and gentlemen of the beautiful crypto space, you might be looking at your portfolios today and thinking, damn, that sucks. And the only thing I can say about it is, yep, that's not good. No, I mean, in the reality of things, it is not something I worry about too frequently, but a flash crash is a flash crash. Like Bitcoin going down 3.5% within a few minutes, that hits the market like a little bit of a freaking 18-wheeler. However, I've said in my live stream what it's all about. I've done my dues. I've explained to you the negative side of things. I will have to add, there is a very, very positive underlying note. And I'm not telling you that prices will recover from here. Matter of fact, I'll be the first to admit that I am not sure what happens next. I'm no guru. All we're doing is seeing what happens and trying to react on it. And whenever things are obvious, we try, following the laws of probability, to predict the next most logical move. But right now, at $60,000, it's up to the freaking crypto mans now. The crypto gods, let's call it. We shall see. Because if we break it, things will get very, very interesting. But thus far, it has kept on bouncing. Anyway, so one very interesting thing happening potentially in as early as a few weeks. While many of the best traders out there are saying it's going to happen this week or within a few days, is actually something that can turn the entire market around. And it is what I've got right next to me right here. It is the Ethereum S1 ETF approvals. And what it's basically about is we got ourselves the pre-approval for Ethereum ETFs. It was all happy, exciting times, yeah. But they're not trading just quite yet. There are multiple stages to it. The most important stage being the S1 approvals, which were said to be coming up and accepted the end of June, which obviously is only a week from now, or potentially, take a look at this, final Ether ETF approval could take weeks. This was posted like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago though. But in a SEC chair June 5th interview, he said that the final spot ETF approvals would take some time after greenlighting the 19B4 filings. Bloomberg ETF analyst 𝗕𝗓𝗄𝗧 suggested that launching the Ether products on US exchanges in June was possible, but predicted the final SEC approvals by July 4th. July was and is a complete guess, said the analyst James Seifert. But I was more confident in saying that ETH ETFs will launch at some point this summer. That was sort of a given. And that all comes after on May 23rd, the SEC approved the 19B4 filings from 8 companies, requiring them only to get these S1 approvals in before they could start getting traded. And now with the fact that they also revoked their lawsuit, or I'm going to say their whole debacle against consensus, it's quite obvious these will get approved. Well, most likely at least, is just a matter of when. But I am preparing you that very often what we see, and maybe I'm crazy for this, make sure you let me know in the comment section, maybe I am, but very often what we see is that the worst of the worst happens just before the bloomiest of the bloom. And what I mean with that is right now we are being shaken out. We are seeing all the fear. Oh, Mt. Gox is dumping on us. But in reality, we already knew that this Mt. Gox situation was going to happen before October. We already knew. So just the July confirmation, theoretically speaking, is just, oh, hey, we got a date. It's not really that big a deal, and it's kind of crazy that the price dumped so much, which leads me into two theories. One is overarching fear in the market. Altcoins have been bleeding, and people have been really crazy on Twitter, rampant on Twitter, saying the bull market's canceled, it's over, because we're not breaking all-time highs. When looking at the charts, this sentiment can be understood, because obviously prices have been moving down. Since the beginning of the month, it feels like ever since we got rejected at 72,000, which is, in hindsight, also where we expected to be rejected at. But right now, the second part of the thesis, which is to get picked up at the $60,000 mark. Now, we're going to have to see if the second part of the story is also true. But, like I just said, so if the Ethereum, if the whole debacle of right now, like all this fear, is kind of whack because it doesn't really make sense, and 60,000 is a massive support barrier, we're still going to have to see whether or not we break through these previous levels at, like, let's call it 56,000 of this previous massive short squeeze, or we can call it bear trap right here, because similarly to how it's happening right now, it happened back then. People were so fearful of things. It's only that the price didn't crash as quickly, but then again, if you look at this move right here, right, this time span here, it was 5 days, and the price moved down 17% from 72.8 thousand to all the way down to 60.5. And here, matter of fact, the price went and took roughly 17 days to move down a similar percent from 72,000, let's say, to 59.7, something along those lines. But again, if we're taking into consideration that this news is not really that bad and it was all kind of expected already, it also makes sense, and I'm just putting up an argument, that they're doing this to make you fear, sell your coins at one of the most major and interesting reversal points, because again, looking back at it, this is one of the more interesting points to sell at. If you wanted to sell, you should have sold at the top. For a lot of people right now, it's like just no, there's no selling anymore. There's no new level to sell at. It's you're stuck with it now, right? You've already lost 17% of your position. Now you're riding it to the ground or all the way up. And by the way, I laid out a little short-term trading strategy over on the Telegram. Might actually work out here the way that Bitcoin keeps bouncing at these levels. But what if this, and I'm talking about this with like a $5,000 leeway, right? It could go slightly lower. But what if this is where things start turning back around for the better? Because obviously the dip is in. And again, I am not saying it can dip lower, nor am I telling you I'm the professional. Well, I'd say I'm quite professional actually, but I'm not trying to tell you exactly what's going to happen because I know for sure. No, at this point, guys, I leave it up to the hands of whoever decides, all right? The main market makers, I guess. But I wonder if this could be the dip, and again, minus, let's say, plus minus $5,000, where once the Ethereum ETF approvals come on in, the next season can begin, which is obviously right now, it's been primarily Bitcoin still that takes the crown. But what if this cycle theory, where Bitcoin first, then Ethereum, then altcoins, then starts to go into phase 2, where Bitcoin goes on its slight leg upwards, so ever so slightly up, but mostly it's Ethereum actually that takes the crown, and then afterwards, after that blooms for a little bit, we can see the spotlight being taken by more major altcoins, and then lower and smaller altcoins. Once more, guys, I'm not guaranteeing you this. I'm just saying, what if this is slightly too much fear for how scary things actually are? Then again, I want to see in the comment section if people have capitulated. Perhaps more people than I expect have given up here because they're just too afraid of the market not coming back. I've explained my case study before where if we just keep buying our way down lower, it's actually quite hard to not come out victorious at the end. But you got to be able to stomach that. Too many people are too weak to do it. But yeah, it's what I'm doing right here. I ain't giving up. And let me know if you also think that the Ethereum ETFs coming out potentially already this week could be the major reversal point. And also let me know down below, what should we cover next? Since the market's really kind of bad right now, it's not time for top altcoin videos. Would you like some tutorials to ease the pain a little bit? Or some airdrop tutorials? Let me know down below and I'll get to cooking.